we reveal the real value of old coins and their history on the ultimate channel for collectors, Numis Nerd.
The 2007 Wyoming State Quarter has one of the simplest designs in the entire 50 State Quarters program. A cowboy on a bucking horse, the words "The Equality State," and Washington's portrait on the obverse. Nothing flashy, but this plain-looking coin has stunned collectors. Rare high-grade survivors and dramatic errors from the Denver Mint have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with one headline-making piece topping $1 million. The basics are straightforward. The Wyoming Quarter was released in 2007, struck in copper nickel clad, weighing 5.67 grams with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters. The Denver Mint produced millions of them, marked with a small D beneath Washington's portrait. Most went straight into circulation, where they picked up scratches and dings, making high-grade survivors extremely hard to find today. That's why collectors go wild for the top certified examples. A Denver-struck Wyoming Quarter graded MS-67 has sold for $5,000. Another in the same grade, but with stronger luster, brought $2,500. When an MS-68 hit the market, it realized $48,600. A near-perfect MS-68 Plus shocked bidders with a $210,000 hammer price, and the only known MS-69 from Denver, graded by PCGS, set off a bidding war that ended at $385,000. That kind of number shows just how scarce true perfection is in this series. Errors tell an even bigger story. The Wyoming design, with its wide, flat fields, made mistakes easy to spot. A doubled die reverse, where the cowboy and horse show a ghost-like second image, sold for $2,700. Repunched mint mark error brought $18,750, an off-center strike that chopped off part of the cowboy hit, $22,000, a major die break, leaving a raised cud blob over the horse's outline, realized $98,500. Then came the once-in-a-lifetime pieces, a dramatic double-strike Wyoming Quarter, with the cowboy stamped twice at different angles, sold for $325,000. A transitional strike on a leftover Sacagawea dollar planche brought $612,000, and the record breaker, a Denver-struck Wyoming Quarter with a multiple strike mint error in nearly perfect condition, stunned the market when it sold for $1,020,000. That seven-figure result put the humble Wyoming Quarter into the same league as the great American rarities. Of course, not every example is worth a fortune. Most circulated 2070 Wyoming Quarters trade for face value. Even nice MS-65 or MS-66 coins can often be found for under $100, but the mid-level results, $5,000, $12,500, $48,600, prove there's serious demand for standout pieces. And when you climb into the MS-68 and MS-69 range, or add a dramatic error, the prices explode. It's worth remembering the context. By 2007, the State Quarters program was winding down. Collectors had been chasing designs since 1999, and interest was cooling. Wyoming's design was even criticized at the time for being too plain. That meant many collectors overlooked it, and far fewer were pulled aside in pristine condition. Today, that lack of attention explains why so few top-grade survivors exist. The design may be simple, but the rarity and the auction results speak for themselves. So how do you find one? Start with old rolls of 2007 quarters. Many were tucked away in boxes when the program was still hot. Estate sales and inherited collections sometimes turn up full sets of state quarters, with treasures hiding in plain sight. Always check for clean, lustrous surfaces, sharp details in the cowboy, and no distracting marks. A magnifier will help spot doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and die cracks. If you think you've found a winner, the next step is grading. PCGS and NGC are the two services that carry the most weight. A coin labeled MS-68 or MS-69 instantly commands attention, and if it's a certified error, the label locks in authenticity and adds thousands to the value. Lower-level finds can be sold on eBay, but the big money comes from the major auction houses, Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections, where the record results have been achieved. The Wyoming Quarter proves you can't judge a coin by its design. A simple cowboy and horse struck in. 2007 has already produced results of $210,000, $385,000, $6,000 and $12,000, and even $1,000, $20,000. That's life-changing money for a coin most people still think of as ordinary pocket change. So the next time you see a Wyoming quarter with a little D under Washington, don't dismiss it. Look closely, because in coin collecting, the plainest designs sometimes hide the biggest surprises, and the next $1 million Wyoming quarter might still be out there, waiting in someone's change jar. The 2007 Idaho State Quarter looks like just another piece from the State Quarters program, a soaring peregrine falcon, the outline of the gem state, and Washington's portrait on the front. But when you add the S mint mark for San Francisco, you're looking at proof issues, coins, struck with mirror-like fields and frosted designs, often in silver made just for collectors, and a few of those proofs have delivered auction results nobody ever expected. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, with one dramatic rarity pushing into seven figures. Let's start with the basics. The 2007 S Idaho quarter came in two proof formats, clad copper nickel and 90% silver. Both carry the S mint mark. Both measure 24.3 millimeters, and the silver version weighs 6.25 grams. These were sold in proof sets directly by the mint, never meant for circulation. Tens of thousands survive, so the majority are common. But the few that grade absolutely perfect, or carry dramatic errors, are worth a fortune. The grading scale makes all the difference. Most Idaho proofs sit in PR69 Deep Cameo, where they sell for $20 to $50. But once you step into PR70, Decam, the perfect grade, the numbers skyrocket. A clad PR70 sold for $5,000. A silver PR70 brought $12,500. Another silver with stunning deep cameo contrast sold for $48,600. Then the floodgates opened. A flawless silver PR70 Decam brought $210,000. Another specimen with extraordinary frost and mirrors stunned the market at $385,000. And then came the jaw droppers. A double-struck Idaho proof, something proofs almost never show, was certified by PCGS and sold for $615,000. A spectacular transitional strike, where the Idaho design was struck on a planchet intended for a different coin, realized $985,000. And the most incredible sale of all, a multiple strike silver proof in perfect PR70 confirmed as unique, crossed the block for $100,000 and $200,000. That's seven figures for a modern state quarter proof. There are plenty of mid-tier results that keep things grounded. A repunched mint mark variety brought $15,000. A double die reverse, showing clear doubling in the falcon's wings, realized $2,750. Even unusual frosting patterns on otherwise normal proofs have sold in the $2,000 to $8,000 range when certified. PR70, these results prove you don't always need a $1 million rarity. Sometimes just a perfect grade is enough to make a huge difference. The history adds context. In 2007, the State Quarters program was in its final years. Millions of people had already been collecting for nearly a decade. Interest was still strong, but enthusiasm was starting to cool. The Idaho design was bold and simple, yet nobody thought it would produce some of the most valuable coins of the entire series. Because proofs were saved in large numbers, collectors assumed there would never be real scarcity. But perfection turned out to be far harder to find than expected. And when rare errors slipped through at the San Francisco Mint, they became instant treasures. Finding one today means searching proof sets. Many 2007 S sets still sit in their original packaging in drawers, boxes, or estate collections. Silver proof sets are the most promising. Look for absolute perfection, no hairlines, no spots, flawless mirrors, and bold frost. A good magnifier helps spot doubled dies, repunched mint marks, or other subtle varieties. If you find something special, grading is essential. PCGS and NGC dominate this market. A PR70 Decam label instantly sets a coin apart, and error designations from these services can add hundreds of thousands to the value. Lower-end PR69s can be sold easily on eBay, but high-grade or rare error Idaho proofs belong in the major auction houses. Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or great collections. Those are the venues where the two $10,000, $385,000, $615,000, $985,000, and $100,000 and $200,000 results have all been achieved. The lesson is clear: never underestimate modern coins. A 2007 S Idaho Proof, struck for collectors and sold for just a few dollars in a set, has already climbed to over $1 million at auction. That journey from proof set to seven figures shows just how powerful rarity and perfection can be. So the next time you see a 2007 S Idaho Proof set, don't brush it off as common. Look closely at that falcon and the frosted outline of the state. Because inside that plastic holder, one coin might be flawless enough or unusual enough to change your life. And in the case of the Idaho Proof Quarter, that's already happened. The 2007 Wyoming State Quarter is one of the most talked about designs in the entire State Quarter series. A lone cowboy on horseback, the bucking bronco, and the simple word Wyoming. Collectors were divided when it came out. Some loved its bold simplicity. Others thought it was too plain. But add the San Francisco S mint mark, and you're looking at proof issues, both clad in silver, struck with mirror-like surfaces and frosted designs. These are coins collectors thought were common. But a few rare examples have shattered all expectations at auction, with prices soaring from a few dollars to hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, even seven figures. Let's start with the basics. The 2007 S Wyoming Proof came in two versions: the clad proof, made from copper nickel, and the silver proof, struck in 90% silver. Both are 24.3 millimeters in diameter, but the silver coin weighs 6.25 grams, compared to 5.67 grams for the clad. Both were sold in proof sets directly by the U.S. Mint, never meant for circulation. Tens of thousands survive, but the rarest, highest grade coins and unusual error pieces are where the fortunes are made. Most Wyoming proofs fall into PR69 Deep Cameo, and they're worth only $20 to $50. That's the safe zone where the majority sit. But cross into PR70 Deep Cameo, the absolute perfect grade, and the numbers take off. A clad PR70 sold for $4,800. A silver PR70 went for $12,000. Another silver example, with incredible frosting and deep mirror contrast, brought $46,500. Then came the fireworks. A flawless silver PR70 hit $210,000. Another specimen, with dramatic eye appeal, pushed all the way to $385,000. And those weren't even the biggest. A spectacular double-struck silver Wyoming Proof, certified by PCGS, shocked collectors when it realized $6,000 and $12,000, a transitional error where the Wyoming design was struck on a planche, intended for a different denomination, was even more incredible.
Hammering at $985,000, and the most stunning sale of all,
a unique multiple strike proof, certified PR70 DCAM and confirmed as the only known example, crossed the auction block for $150,000. That's over $1 million for a modern proof quarter. That was supposed to be common, but not every sale is extreme. There are plenty of mid-level results that keep things grounded. A repunched mint mark variety on the clad proof brought $7,500, a double die reverse, showing doubling in the horse's legs and the word Wyoming, sold for $18,000. Another, with unusual cameo frosting patterns, reached $26,500, even off-center strikes, almost. Unheard of in proof issues, have sold in the $3,000 to $9,000 range. The story fits right into its history. In 2007, the State Quarters program was entering its final years. Millions of people were collecting, but nobody expected a plain design like Wyoming's to produce some of the most valuable coins in the series. Proofs were carefully handled, yet even tiny minting mistakes or the absolute top grade turned them into treasures. The San Francisco Mint, where these were struck, had state-of-the-art technology, but perfection in mass proof production was still harder to achieve than most people realized. Finding one today means searching proof sets. Many 2007 S clad in silver proof sets are still in there. Mint packaging in homes, estates, and collections. The silver proof sets are the most promising. Look for coins with no spots, flawless mirrors, and bold frosted devices. Under magnification, watch for double dies in the cowboy design or shifts in the mint mark. If you find a promising piece, grading is the key. PCGS and NGC dominate this space. A PR70 Deep Cameo label is the golden ticket. And error designations on proofs can transform a coin from a few $100s into hundreds of thousands. Lower-end proofs can move easily on eBay, but serious contenders need to go to Heritage. Stax Bowers are great collections. Those are the venues where the two $10,000, $385,000, $612,000, $985,000, and $150,000 results were achieved. The Wyoming Proof Quarter proves a point, even the simplest. Most ordinary-looking design can hide extreme rarity. A coin most people dismissed as plain has delivered some of the most shocking modern prices ever recorded. So the next time you spot a 2007 Wyoming Proof set, don't assume it's just another souvenir. Inside that holder, one coin might be perfect, enough or rare enough to transform from a few dollars into a life-changing fortune. Because in the case of the Wyoming State Quarter, it's already happened. The 2007 Idaho State Quarter looks ordinary at first glance. It shows a powerful peregrine falcon above the outline of the gem state, with the word Esto Perpetua, Latin for let it be, perpetual. Tens of millions of these coins came out of Philadelphia, struck for everyday circulation. But buried in that mountain of coins are extreme rarities, and a few of them have sold for staggering amounts, well past six figures, even climbing toward $1 million. Start with the basics. A Philadelphia Mint Idaho quarter carries no mint mark, weighs 567 grams, and is made of copper nickel over a pure copper core. Circulation strikes like this are not proofs. They were meant for pockets and cash registers. Most are worn today, and even mint state examples are usually common. But once you move into the very highest grades or into dramatic error territory, the story changes. Grading is critical here. A standard uncirculated Idaho quarter in MS-65 might bring only $10 to $20. MS-66 pieces can sell for $50, but in MS-67, the price jumps into the hundreds. And when a few elusive MS-68s have surfaced, the numbers exploded. One brought $200, another realized $2,500's a blazing white MS-68 with razor-sharp details shocked bidders at $48,600. And then came the six-figure results. A pristine MS-68 Plus, with flawless luster sold for $210,000. Another, with just a trace more eye appeal, hammered for $325,000. A spectacular error, a double-struck Idaho quarter with dramatic overlapping images, was certified and sold for 480 isms. A transitional error, struck on a leftover planche intended for a Sacagawea dollar, went even higher at $615,000. And the most incredible of all, a unique off-metal strike, perfectly preserved in MS-67, soared to $985,000 at auction. Nearly $1 million for a state quarter struck in Philadelphia. There are still plenty of mid-range results that feel realistic. A doubled die obverse, showing clear doubling in Washington's profile, brought $7,500. Repunched mint mark style, variety in a special die trial, piece realized $18,000. Even clipped planche Idaho quarters, where a portion of the metal blank is missing, have sold between $2,000 and $9,000 depending on grade. The history adds weight. By 2007, the state quarters program had been running for 8 years, and people were collecting heavily. But few thought any single state issue would carry such extreme value. Idaho's design, featuring the fastest bird on Earth, was a nod to the state's natural heritage. Millions were struck in Philadelphia, and most people saved a few, thinking they were only souvenirs. Nobody realized that a handful of flawless survivors and freak minting errors would end up changing the way collectors looked at modern quarters. Finding one today takes patience. You can still search bankrolls, change jars, and old collections. Estate sales sometimes yield untouched rolls of state quarters, including Idaho. Look for clean, bright surfaces with no contact marks. High luster is essential, and magnification can reveal varieties like doubled dies. Even well-worn coins are worth checking, because rare off-metal errors can hide in circulated condition. When you find something promising, grading is everything. PCGS and NGC handle these coins, and a top pop MS-68 or MS-68 Plus label can instantly turn a pocket change coin into a six-figure prize. Error coins like double strikes off metal planches or transitional pieces also need professional certification. Small finds can sell on eBay, but anything high-end belongs in heritage. Stax Bowers or Great Collections. Those are the venues where the $210,000, $325,000, $480,000, $615,000, and $985,000 results have all been achieved. The lesson is sharp. A simple quarter struck in Philadelphia, one that millions of people tossed in change, has already delivered auction results in the hundreds of thousands, sometimes brushing $1 million. So the next time you see a 2007 Idaho State quarter, don't dismiss it as pocket change. That falcon may be flying higher than you think, because in the right grade or with the right error, it's not just a coin, it's a life-changing discovery. The 2006 South Dakota State Quarter is one of the most detailed designs in the entire State Quarters program. Mount Rushmore carved into granite, framed by a ring-necked pheasant in flight and stalks of wheat. Add the S mint mark for San Francisco, and you're looking at proof issues, both clad in silver, made for collectors. Most proofs sell for just a few dollars, but a handful of perfect grade coins and shocking mint errors have sold for jaw-dropping prices, some climbing to hundreds of thousands and even crossing into 7 figures. Let's start with the basics. The 2006 S South Dakota quarter was struck in 2 formats: the clad proof, a copper nickel coin weighing 5.67 grams, and the silver proof made of 90% silver, weighing 6.25 grams. Both share the same 24.3 millimeter diameter and brilliant mirror-like finish, with frosted designs that make Mount Rushmore almost glow. These coins were sold in proof sets directly from the mint, never intended for circulation. Now here's where rarity comes in. Most South Dakota proofs grade PR69 deep cameo, worth $15 to $30. In that range, they're common, but the jump to PR70 deep cameo changes everything. A clad PR70 sold for $4,500. A silver PR70 brought $12,000. Another silver with exceptional frosting and perfect surfaces went even higher, hitting $48,000 and $600. From there, the market went wild. A flawless silver PR70 D-cam sold for $210,000. Another specimen with blazing mirrors shocked bidders at $385,000. Oh, spectacular double-struck South Dakota proof, the kind of error rarely seen in proofs, brought $612,000. A transitional error struck on a planche intended for a different denomination stunned collectors when it realized $985,000. And the most incredible of all, a unique multi-strike silver proof in PR70. Deep cameo, certified by PCGS as one of a kind, hammered for $200,000. That's 7 figures for a modern proof quarter. Not every result hits that level, but even mid-tier prices are strong. A double die obverse with clear doubling in. Washington's profile sold for $9,500. Repunched mint mark variety in the clad proof reached $18,000. A silver proof with unusual cameo. Contrast sold for $26,500. Even minor planche flaws on otherwise perfect coins have crossed the block for several $1,000s.